Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for the fourth video in our surprise in a book ... series. Needs a better name than that. And today we're going to make the envelope. I said maybe we might do some decorating, but I don't think we're going to do that today. I didn't get anything out to decorate, but we are next going to make our envelope so that we then have all of our pieces built. And so I have my book, and I just have a square piece of, this is a piece of just scrapbooking paper that I had. And so what I'm going to do is just, I always just kind of like, I don't have any real recipes for these. I just kind of make them up as I go. I know that I need a square piece of paper when I make an envelope 90% of the time. So what I need to do is figure out, I know I don't need this whole 12 by 12 square. If I tried wrapping this around here, I mean, it would just be way too huge. But I have to decide what size paper do I need. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my book, kind of just center it on the corner here and just figure out like where I want this tip to be. And I'm thinking like normally right about there. So I know that I need my paper to be this long, but also our book is like 1 1/4 inches thick. So I also have to account for the depth of that book, not just the size of this square. So I need to add, instead of coming to here, I need to add the thickness of my book and come out to about here. So this ruler is just over about 1.5 inches wide. So I'm just going to kind of put that there. And then just put a little mark there to see, about how long, my pen's not working. To see about how long my piece of paper is going to need to be, what size square I'm going to need. And then I'm just going to take my ruler and just measure how large is it to my mark. Okay, so it's about 7.5 inches, just over. So I'm going to do 8 inches square. Just because, there we go. Then I know that I should have enough. So there's 8 inches there. And I'm just going to put 3 marks so that I can draw a nice straight line. And then also I need to do 3 marks this way. Like that. Okay, so now there's my 8-inch square, and I'm just going to cut that out real quick. And that should work for the size envelope that I want. And that's pretty much how I always just make my envelopes. And the thing is, remember, okay, that envelope looks like a standard mailing envelope or a card envelope, but you've got, like those manila mailer envelopes where it is, kind of folded like this and glued down the middle with a flap on the top. You can make, you can make an envelope any way that you want to. It doesn't have to be this way. Okay, so once I have that done, I'm going to put my book back on here about where I wanted it. And then I'm gonna fold this up so that I've got kind of like my center point here. And then to make sure that, and I put a fold across the bottom of the book right there. I'm just pressing on the bottom of the book, not the top, but the bottom, so that I get a line right there. And then what I'm going to do is I want to make sure that that line is straight. That will make my envelope straight. So I'm going to measure from the edge, from the corner of my paper to that line, is 5 inches. And see, the reason I'm showing you how to do it this way, not just giving you marks or giving you sizes, is because it depends on what size your book is going to depend on what size you need your envelope to be. So I'm just showing you how you can make an envelope no matter what you're trying to put it in. So I've got 5 inches here. I want to make a mark over here at 5 inches. And so that way I know when I put a fold there, it's going to be even. And this fold was off just a little bit by the looks of it. So I'm now going to put my ruler on that 5-inch mark and that 5-inch mark. And I'm going to put a nice fold in there. So now we have a nice straight fold to really start. And this point then should be in line with this point up here. All right, so now I'm going to take my book, and again, I'm going to put it in here. And then if I want to make sure it's centered, I can measure from side to side just to make sure that I basically have it in the middle. So on this side, from the edge of my book on that line, I've got 1.5 inches. And on this side, from the edge of the paper to the edge of the book, just barely over. So I'm going to move my book over just a little bit. And now my book is in the center. Okay, so I've got my bottom line there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold up and press along the bottom of my book here, press along the bottom of my book there, and press along the bottom of my book there. Okay, and so now I have the size of my book, remembering that we also have the depth of our book. But what we need to do now is get rid of the excess pieces of paper that are going to get in our way. So we've got this fold. Now, if you want, you can measure to make sure that these folds are all exact. I'm a little lazy to do that, so I'm just going to fold it there where it touched the edge of my book, and I pulled it back just a touch. So like here is my fold. I'm going to fold it to there, but then I'm going to just kind of roll my paper back just a touch. And the reason that I'm doing that is just to make my envelope just a little bit bigger than my book. I don't want it to be super tight because we want to be able to put it in and out easily. Ready? And I'm going to do the same thing here. And again, roll it back just a touch. This is going to make our envelope just a little bit big. That's totally fine. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so now that we have folded, did we fold this one? Yes. Okay, now we have folded it, and this is where the base of our book is. Here. That's where our book sits, right there. So see, and we have all of our folds all the way around where the base of our book sits. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut out all of these little triangles. And because this is a very thick envelope, this is going to, let me show you something here in just a second. I'm going to cut these like this for just a minute. I'm going to cut them off. But if you don't want to cut them off, you actually can fold them in like this, but you will have to cut off a little bit out here so that it doesn't get in the way. So you can cut them like that, and I'm going to cut a little bit of the point out here. So that when you fold your envelope in, your envelope's going to fold in, and it's going to come up and it's going to fold over your book. You can glue these little flaps inside like that. Personally, it does, but if you don't do that, what it's going to look like is we're going to cut it so that it comes right to the edges of our book. And when you fold this in, your envelope is going to have this little bit of a gap right here because of, you know, because we're going to cut, I'm going to cut this whole triangle off, and that is going to leave a gap. So if you don't want that gap for your bottom part, just don't cut the whole triangle off. Just cut it up along. This is what's going to fold. Cut straight this way. And then just cut off the little tip, because when you go to fold this in, if we hadn't cut off that tip, this would not fold over. That tip would be in the way. But I'm going to cut the whole thing off because that's the way I do it. Well, I'll leave that one and show you what it looks like. All right, but normally what I do is I just cut off these triangles which is just where we had folded it. When we folded it like that and folded it like that, it left a little triangle in all four corners, or all four sides, I should say. So we're going to do it like that. Now on the top, you're going to cut the whole thing off anyways, because it's an envelope. So that is going to be like that. All right, now we're going to take our book and put our book back in here. And now we're going to fold our envelope up over our book, put a crease in it, fold this side, and put a crease in it, and fold this side. And I'm not making it super tight because we want that to be just a little bit big. And then fold up down our top flap and put a crease in there. Now, my top flap is very long. It comes all the way to the bottom. If I wanted that to be shorter, I would just have, when I originally did it, move this flap up a little bit. But I kind of like that. So now what I'm going to do is these two that I didn't cut off, I'm going to glue those in there. And then there will not be that gap. Or you can glue them on the outside like that, and actually that even looks better. That covers up the gap. I hardly ever leave the flap on there, so I forget how I do that. Well, let me grab the glue. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these two flaps together right at the point here. Well, come on, glue. So put those in there like that. Give it a press. You need your book in there while you're gluing because it gives you something to go ahead and push against. But then as soon as it's done, after you get it all glued together, take the book out so it doesn't get glued in. Okay, and then I want this flap to come up here like this. And so I'm going to run down the side of this like that. Let me just show you what I'm doing here. So I'm going to put glue, let's get the flaps out of the way. I'm going to put glue not on this folded part, that's what's going to touch your book, up this little tiny bit of an edge, up the point, and then down the other side. But making sure that you don't get it, made that really thick. You don't want to get it on that bottom fold or the bottom part of your envelope down here. You don't want it down there. So then I'm just going to fold this up like that. Oops, and I came out to the point, I think I did. You don't want to come out to the point because that point is going to touch your book. So I'm going to just push that down. Get the extra glue off there. Like that. Okay, now I should have actually looked at this first because it's easier to cut before you glue it. But this is a little bit too wide right here. So I'm just going to need to trim that off. Like that. And looks like maybe just a touch of a trim on this side. And there we go. Now we can take these two little flaps and glue them down. And with this paper, it blends in pretty nicely. And it sticks out a little bit here, so I'm going to trim that off. And there we go. So there is our envelope. Now I can decide what I want to do with the point. I can just leave the envelope just like an envelope like this, or I can take just a bit of my paper or a bit of another piece of paper. Let me see. I'm going to just grab, so I just have a little scrap, and this is cardstock, so this is a little bit thicker. Ooh, that side's pretty too. And I'm just going to cut a rectangle, and I'm going to put it right on here so that I can tuck my envelope top into it. So I'm just going to glue the two edges. And I'm going to put it right at the bottom because because my flap is so long. And once that glue is dry, then we'll be able to just tuck the flap of our envelope in there, and it will be all set. Now we are going to have to make a better fold here at the top. It will help it lay down better. There we go. And so there is our envelope. Fits nicely. It's not too tight. And there we go. Now if we wanted to, we could put a label on this side or something, maybe a little faux stamp. We'll decide what we're going to do there when I'll decide what I'm going to do there when I decorate it. I'm not going to do the decorating on screen. Everybody has different aesthetics. Everybody likes different things. And so I will show you what I have done when it's decorated. On Wednesday, I will be back and I will show you the whole thing, however I did wind up decorating it. But, so there we go. We now have our bag with a box to put inside, with an envelope to put in the box, a book to put in the bag, and a place for a surprise in our book. So that is everything ready to be decorated. I hope that you've enjoyed this series so far. I'll see you on Wednesday to show you the final project. I hope that you do it, get yours done, get it all decorated up, and have a really nice time. It's a fun thing to even give to somebody as a gift with all of the layers. It's just like, when am I ever going to get to what I'm supposed to get to? The surprise inside the book. So thank you very much for watching. Really do appreciate it. Stay safe, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.